Episode 8, or the finale of The Mandalorian Season 3, is here, and I absolutely loved it. I know, it seems like the fandom is pretty split on this finale and on this third season as a whole. But we're going to break down this episode regardless, so spoiler alert! What's up, guys? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. If you loved that finale, smash a like on this video. If you hated that finale, smash a like on this video. And if you were somewhere in between, smash a like on this video. Because today we are breaking down Chapter 24, the finale of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Of course, tell me what you think about this episode in the comments section below. Rank it out of 10, and as always, I will give you my ranking after we break down the episode. So the episode opens with Bo and the other Mandalorians escaping from the Imperial base when Bo contacts Axe Woves. In the last episode, we saw Axe go to get help. Many people believed that he was just escaping before everything went bad because everybody thought he was a spy, or the Armorer was a spy, or Casca Reeves was a spy, or the pirate Mandalorians were spies, but there was no spies. But Bo did contact Axe before he left the atmosphere so they could still communicate. She tells him to get all the people off of the cruiser and use the cruiser as bait because there are TIE interceptors and bombers on their way to destroy the fleet. She also tells him to take all the gauntlets and the rest of the fleet down to the surface as reinforcements so they can go take back their home. We then cut to Din Djarin, who we saw at the end of episode 7 be taken away by Moff Gideon's Imperial troopers. They are walking down a hallway and Din Djarin starts to fight back. There are 2 troopers around him and he seems to be getting the upper hand, and then he doesn't. His neck gets wrapped up and he's about to be choked out when, of course, Grogu in the IG-12 suit shows up saying no. Din tells Grogu that he needs to be brave because they're going to kill Moff Gideon. He says we have to end this once and for all. We then see Bo and the Mandalorians flying out of the surface of Mandalore, getting away from the Imperial base. Then we also see TIE interceptors and bombers launching from the docking bay in the Imperial base to go destroy the fleet in the atmosphere. We then cut to Gideon in his command center where he's looking at a big map of the entire Imperial base on Mandalore, and it is massive. But there are 2 dots walking across the base, and that of course is Din Djarin and Grogu. One of Gideon's Imperial troopers in Beskar armor informs Gideon that the interceptors and bombers have launched and asks if they should go take care of Din and Grogu, and Gideon says, "I'll handle it myself." When he says this, he puts on his helmet and walks away, a lot like a mix between Darth Vader and he sounds a little bit like Kylo Ren in his mask. It's just cool. Moff Gideon's next generation of the Dark Trooper armor with him inside of it is so cool. We then see Grogu and Din walking through the Imperial base, but Din needs help and calls to R5.
Uncle Owen!
Yeah?
The R2 unit has a bad motivator, look!
He asks R5 to fly down to the Imperial base underneath the surface on Mandalore and find out where Gideon's command center is. R5 really looked like R2-D2 from Revenge of the Sith in this episode, jetpacking around, being the hero, opening all the doors for everybody. We then cut to Axe Woves, who has made it out of the atmosphere and is coming upon the fleet and informs them that the bombers and interceptors are coming and they need to evacuate the cruiser immediately. And while the other Mandalorians are leaving the cruiser, Axe Woves is staying there. He's going to stay and distract the interceptors by shooting at them and distracting them so that they don't realize that the rest of the fleet is gone. We cut back to Din and Grogu, who have now come upon the red ray shields that we saw in episode 7. He calls out to R5 and tells him that he needs to open 1 ray shield at a time because there are guards in between each ray shield and he has no weapons and is going to have to go pretty badass on these guys. This was amazing. Din Djarin gets his own hallway scene and it was awesome. But they eventually make it through all of the ray shields and come upon the Bacta tank room. In this room, we see about a dozen Bacta tanks that all have these beings inside of it. And when Grogu gets a closer look, we realize that they are all clones of Moff Gideon. And later on in this episode, we find out that these are Force-sensitive Gideon clones. So when Grogu is close to it, it senses Grogu in the Force, wakes up, and scares the crap out of Grogu, but also scares the crap out of Din Djarin. And he quickly uses the control panel to booby-trap the Bacta tanks, and they explode. hopefully killing those clones. You never know, they were force sensitive. We then see Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians land in this cave. And the pirate Mandalorians, or the Mandalorians that have survived on the surface of Mandalore since the Purge, explain that this is one of many caves that they have that is kind of a safe haven for them, away from all the creatures on the surface and the creatures underground. But Bo-Katan notices that there's many plants and living creatures in this safe haven that weren't around even before the Empire showed up, because the Mandalorians were at a civil war for thousands of years, pretty much destroying the planet. And these plants actually couldn't grow until the Empire destroyed the planet and the planet's war was over. But this cool moment of Bo-Katan realizing that Mandalore can actually thrive is interrupted by the armorer coming in with the reinforcements from the fleet, and all the Mandalorians go jet off to take back their homeworld, Bo-Katan leading them with the Darksaber out. And this starts one of the best Star Wars fight scenes we've had ever. This was one of the coolest Star Wars fight scenes we've literally ever seen. These Imperial troopers in Beskar armor with jetpacks versus the Mandalorians with jetpacks, blasters, and of course a freaking Darksaber. Not to mention the armor going around like she's Thor, smacking people with her hammer. But we then cut to Din and Grogu, who have now come to the command center where Moff Gideon is waiting for them. And this is when Moff Gideon explains to us that he created force-sensitive clones of himself, and before they could actually speak their first words, Din Djarin just killed them all. Now, although this was a bummer that we didn't get to see the force-sensitive clones actually do any action, this still sets up the possibility for a Supreme Leader Snoke in the Mando timeline, or even Palpatine clones. Because if Gideon and Dr. Pershing could have created a force-sensitive clone of a guy who didn't have the Force, then anything is possible. But Din and Moff Gideon start to fight in this awesome fight that gets interrupted by 3 Praetorian guards who start to beat the crap out of Din Djarin, and Grogu steps in and goes, no. The Praetorian guards then go after Grogu in the IG-12 suit, and a door closes that splits off Grogu from Din Djarin. So now you got Mandalorians fighting in the sky, you have Din versus Moff Gideon, and you have Grogu versus 3 Praetorian guards. Then Bo-Katan in the sky notices that Din Djarin needs help and goes to fight Gideon with the Darksaber and tells Din to go help Grogu. We get the dynamic duo of Din Djarin and Grogu using the Force to defeat the Praetorian guards, and we get a badass scene of Bo with the Darksaber versus Moff Gideon, which ends with Moff Gideon destroying the Darksaber, ready to kill Bo-Katan. And before he does, he says Mandalorians are nothing without their little trinkets. And Bo-Katan's response is Mandalorians are stronger together, as Din Djarin and Grogu come from behind Gideon, and the 3 of them start to fight Gideon together. Now this crazy fight is interrupted by Axe Wolves, who is now crashing the Imperial cruiser into the base to blow up the Imperial base, so all the other Mandalorians leave, but Bo, Din, and Grogu don't have time to escape. They are still fighting Gideon, but the cruiser crashes into the Imperial base, and Grogu saves the day using the Force, putting a Force shield around them, proving how much stronger he is with the Force now, and Moff Gideon is believed to be dead at this point.
No one's ever really gone.
We then cut to the Living Waters, where Paz Vizsla's son, Ragnar, is officially taking the Creed. Din and Grogu walk in, and when Ragnar is done, Din requests that Grogu will take the Creed. The armorer says that's impossible because he's too young to speak, meaning he can't speak the Creed, but if a parent is there, they can do it for him. So Din Djarin adopts Grogu, so he becomes Din Grogu, a lot better than Grogu Djarin. Try saying that 10 times fast. But now Grogu is Din's apprentice officially, so they have to go off into the galaxy and learn together. We get to see the armor in Bo-Katan light up the Great Forge for the first time since the Great Purge, and Mandalore is back. But the episode's not over yet. We see Din Djarin go to the New Republic base in the Outer Rim, where he talks to Carson Teva. He says he wants to help out around the Outer Rim, helping to get rid of the Imperial Remnant, working for the New Republic and, of course, getting paid. Carson Teva says he'll think about it, but we already know he's saying yes. He needs all the help he can get. But Din requests the IG droid's head that is in the bar in the New Republic base, and goes back to Navarro where he gifts Greef Karga a Marshal for Navarro, and it is IG-11 put back together. And Greef Karga gifts Din a house where he parks his N1 starfighter right next to it. It's a little hut on the flats of Navarro, and him and Grogu can go on countless adventures from there. So this episode was awesome. It was the perfect ending to this third season, culminating everything into the taking back of Mandalore, uniting all the Mandalorians, because that was the whole entire plot of this season, bringing all the Mandalorians back together with Din Djarin and Bo-Katan at the helm, defeating Gideon, getting rid of the Empire on Mandalore, retaking their planet. And of course, as always, it's an action-adventure story with Din and Grogu, and that's where we left off with them on Navarro. So if I were to rank this episode out of 10, I would give it a 9 out of 10. It was definitely one of the best episodes of this season, if not one of the best episodes of the entire series. The action was spectacular, the story was fantastic, really resolving all the different storylines from the last 3 seasons with Gideon, and of course bringing all the Mandalorians back together and reclaiming their home of Mandalore. It also set up a ton for the future of the Mandoverse. Of course, the Mando movie, which is supposed to come out in 2026, directed by Dave Filoni, will of course involve Grogu and Din Djarin, and most likely Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians as well. But it also set up for sensitive cloning, which could eventually lead to Snoke and, of course, Palpatine. So all in all, I thought it was a fantastic finale, but tell me what you think about this finale in the comment section below. Rank it out of 10 if you have not yet. Smash a like on this video if you liked it. Hit subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. The Mandalorian Season 3 is over, but for Star Wars fans, we're just getting started. I've said it 1,000 times on this channel recently. It is the best time to be a Star Wars fan. We have Jedi Survivor in just a couple weeks. We have Star Wars Visions on May the 4th. And of course, the Ahsoka show is right around the corner, and we all know that that show's gonna blow minds. But until then, if you want more videos like this, leaks and rumor videos, and of course, 3 live streams every week on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m., stick around this channel by hitting that subscribe, and may the Force be with you always.